All right, good evening. This is the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners, St. Charles Parish Housing Authority. Today is Tuesday, April 30th, 2019. The time is 6 p.m. I now call the meeting to order. Will we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, beginning on my right, we'll take roll.
Leatrice Hollis, Executive Director, St. Charles Housing Authority.
Webb J., Chairman.
Commissioner Rodney Woods, Vice Chair.
Commissioner Karen Angelin.
All right. And then we have those in attendance this evening. All right. At this time, we'll do the review of the minutes for March 22nd, 2019. Any board discussion? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion? We don't have a motion on the minutes?
I was going to allow her to make the motion, and I would second.
You making a motion to approve?
A motion to approve the minutes.
All right, we have a motion.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. All right, at this time is normally our Sheriff's Department report. I see Lieutenant Reed's not here this evening, so let's move on to the financial report. Review of low rent and HCVP expense reports for February and March 2019. Ms. Hollis?
Yes, I would like to invite Mr. Russell Ricotta. Did I pronounce your last name right? Ricotta. Mr. Russell Ricotta to go over February and March.
All right.
We didn't do February last year.
Mr. Ricotta.
Okay, the first thing that we're going to look at is Section 8 for February. Looking at page 1, total cash in bank for First National was $17,803, and Capital One was $104,098. Current liabilities, the thing that we need to note is the amount that was due to the low rent program was $13,860, and that is reflected in the February low rent program financial statement as a receivable. Going over to page 2, looking basically at column 1 for February, we had total operating reserves of operating revenues of $27,262.84. Total admin expenses is the second to last line item, $21,929.03. So we had a operating income for unrestricted funds of $5,333.81. Going over to page 3, we are looking at column 1, the month of February, and we're talking about strictly the HAP expenditures. HAP revenues was $175,690. HAP expenses was $169,331. So we had a profit or an overage in revenues of $6,359.
All right. Any questions from the board?
Not on this particular one, but as he gets through March, I will.
All right. You want to go ahead and
This is
continue?
March for Section 8? Okay. So March, on page 1, Total cash in bank, First National was $17,803. Capital One was $77,312.72. Due to low rent, was $4,259.11, which again ties to the March low rent as a receivable. Going over to page 2, we're looking at the month of March, the first column. Total operating revenues, $18,266.21. Total admin expenses was $23,685.88, which brings us to a net operating loss of $54,019. $5,419.67. Okay. Page 3, as it relates to strictly restricted HAP expenses and revenue, for the month of March, we received $160,475. HAP expenses was $167,966, and which brought us to a loss, or we used more than what we received for the month, $76,491. $7,491. Excuse me. I'd like to make note, though, that in looking at the same page 3, for the 6 months ended, total HAP revenues was approximately $1,051,000, and we spent approximately $794,000. So for the 6 months ended March 31st, we have that we're holding in our account, our checking account, $76,875. So that's how that pretty much goes. And I guess we should go back and look at page 2 for administrative expenses for the 6 months ended March. We received $117,707.89, and we spent $109,424.66, which brought us to an income overage of $8,283. Okay.
Mr. Woods?
Yes, I know we look at big picture items, and I do, but sometimes I just tend to choose a number and try to follow it.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Section 8, March 31st,
Okay.
current assets, I'm just going to ask first if something could be included. Could whatever account it is, could that number be attached? And what I'm trying to say, cash, First National Bank, can account number follow that also? I was able to find it, but if it's there, it's easier to know what account to
Okay,
put
I will-
that number to.
Let me check into
if
that.
you can.
Yeah, account numbers.
And what I get, as I say, I understand we look at big pictures, but sometimes I just choose a number
I
and I
understand.
try to follow it. So I did find the bank
understand.
statement for that 17,000.
Mm-hmm.
But the cash Capital One, and we have several Capital One accounts, I was not able to distinguish which account, and the one I thought it might have been, the balances didn't quite match. So what Cap One cash account would go with that 77
You look at page number 18
on?
on the general ledger.
Do we have an actual bank account with that?
A bank statement?
A bank statement,
Oh,
I'm
I
sorry.
don't know. Did y'all provide the bank statements?
I kind of modified the board packet, and what I do on a monthly basis is I actually give them a copy of the bank statement now. So what he's saying is that he wants to be able to reconcile what our financials are saying
Okay.
and compare them to the bank statements. On your bank statements for First National Bank USA, it says in the account's name, whether it's low rent or Section 8. And
Correct,
on the,
and I'm looking at that, and even I'm able to put an account number to that, which is the last 44839. So, and those numbers actually match. The 17 that he shows in his report matches the bank statement. The second account that shows cash for Capital One, I was not able to go to the bank statements and find a statement
Well,
that matches.
here's, and we'll talk
That's
about,
just-
we'll talk about that more when I do my report. We're still not using our new system.
Okay.
So the information that he's reading may be from February. The bank statement might be from March. And from what he's doing accounting on, there's activities happening. I'm doing invoices, we're getting deposits put into the bank. It should be more. Is it more? I don't know what number you're looking at.
Are you looking at, does the bank, I don't have that in front of me, 77,000, I mean, 79, 994?
I think that's where I found something like that.
Okay.
Well, it wasn't, I'll put it like this, it was 1,000 something more, so it wasn't less. But
Well-
what just got my attention, the numbers didn't match.
Yeah, I may have got
The
a
bank-
deposit. We actually, we got a dividends check. We got a dividends check.
Yeah.
And, it could have been a deposit that he hasn't reflected yet
Okay.
in his accounting.
Let me explain, Mr. Woods, the figures that I give you are as of the end of the month, and it's as if all checks cleared the bank. So the cash that we actually had on the bank statement was 994.59, and we had outstanding checks of 2681.87. That's on page 9. So our reconciled bank balance is a 77,312.72.
And I'm not trying to get that specific, but sometimes as I say.
No, but that's a good
I
question,
think big
because
picture,
why, why is the bank statement different? It's because these checks haven't cleared yet.
And the statement says as of March 31, and the bank statement says as of March 31.
Yeah.
So I just think, hey, I should be sharp enough to see what you're telling me, and then go to the bank statement and see that number. That's all. I mean.
But do you see, though, where this reflects as if all the checks were to clear?
Gotcha.
But the true, let's just say they all cleared in the month of March.
Well,
you
the
know.
most positive thing out of this, and again, that's me just doing my thing, but all our bills are paid.
Yeah.
And we do have some money in the bank,
All
so
our
that's a
bills are
good
paid.
positive.
Yes, they are paid.
All right. That's all I have.
Any further board discussion?
Not, Mr. Chair, take a motion.
Yep.
We need to do that. Just move that we accept the financials as presented.
All right, we have a motion made by Commissioner Woods. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
All right, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Right. Next agenda item is board review of the VMS report. Ms. Hollis?
Again, I defer to Mr. Ricotta, our field accountant. Do you need a copy, Russell?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry I didn't bring that.
Here, let me get it. You got it? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Paul, you could have shared.
What? Oh, yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, the month of March, we're basically looking at the first column. That's the unit months leased, and the column that says HAP, which is the, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the fifth column. So for the month of March, we leased up 4 port out vouchers, and the HAP for that port out was $2,798. Going over to page 2, the number of vouchers, all other vouchers, which is a designation if it doesn't fit in any one of the other categories, was 281 vouchers, and the HAP for that amount was $168,173. Moving on down, the next field is all voucher HAP expenses after the first of the month. They do not count the number of vouchers, but they count the HAP that was paid after the first. So if you look in the HAP column, That was $3,471. So the total vouchers leased up for the month of March was 285, and the total HAP that was spent for the month of March was 174,442. Again, looking at the first column, the number, one of the requirements is that REACT or VMS wants to know how many vouchers were leased up as of the end of the month, and that was 290. The next item is new vouchers leased up but not under HAP contracts as of the last day, which means basically they were given a voucher and they're out shopping for a place to live. So, and they wanted to know that on a monthly basis. That's 5 as of the end of the month. The next item or category is portable vouchers administered for poured in, which are actually not our vouchers, but we're actually administering them for other housing authorities. We have 5, and if you go over to the HAP column, that amount of HAP that we paid on those 5 was $33,419. Okay. Flipping over to page 3, the total, there's only one item to look at, was the administrative expenses moving to work, non-moving to work, was $15,135. And let me explain that. The reason why that is a little different from what we actually went over in March is because this was done prior to the closing of March, and this is what typically housing authorities do. We want to get this in on time, so we'll have to go back and just make an adjustment. So that's what I do. Actually have what was input originally, then I go back and have the paperwork to document how much was spent, that ties into the financial statements. Going over to page 4, the unrestricted net position as of the last day of the month was $165,391 negative. Total restricted net position as of the last day of the month, which is our HAP amount that's restricted for HAP payments only, is $87,037. And everything else is zeros.
Zeros are good.
Zeros are good, yes.
All right, any board discussion? All right,
Ms. House, I think this is from.
Mr. Woods.
Your discussion, if I'm right, and re-inform me and the board and others, but you're saying that we're putting out more vouchers now than we were a few months ago, when we might be close to maybe opening our list, or?
I did share that. And let me do my
Good
report.
information, so I just want to get it out.
Let me do the report. Are we at director's report? Because I'll start.
if there's no more discussion, then we'll move on to you, Ms. Hollis.
Okay, great. So I'll start with the Section 8 program. And basically, I have a supplement package. In the last board meeting, we said that we would give you guys more information. And so what I've done is I've printed some of the documentation that we have in our REACT system, the way that we communicate with HUD. All right. So with that being said, for our for our Section 8 program, our Housing Choice Voucher Program, we have been successful in leasing up more of units. We, at this particular time, have 105 people on the waiting list. We only have.
Hollis,
Sure.
I just want to make record that Commissioner Delario Bailey's arrived at the time 6:19. Carry on.
Oh, I thought you were sharing.
Okay.
So we've been working with the real estate community a lot more. We're working with agents. We are encouraging our clients to call agents when it's time to shop. So with that being said, we have been successful at leasing up. One of the things that he just talked about in the VMS system is that when we receive a payment on a monthly basis, on the first of the month, tomorrow I'll get a payment. I'll get a payment of I think it's $157,000. I'm just calling a number, but that's the average of what we receive. But we're moving so fast in the leasing up process, that's only a projection and it's in advance. It's in advance. But what is happening is that when it's time for me to write checks to landlords, I may be writing checks for 167. 168 is what we have to pay out tomorrow. So we're coming in at about $17,000 short based on what they're depositing into the account. That is not normally a problem for me. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But we just finished going through our audit, and HUD is going through its audit, and they're doing corrections. We just received a email, which is in the packet that you have, the one that says Director Report. There is an email from the Department of Housing and Urban Development saying that we were overpaid $80,000 in our Section 8 program. That's a big chunk of money. I'm still trying to grasp how that works because we are actually paying out more than we're receiving. So for us to receive more than we're paying out, that, I think that we should spend some time, and we'll talk about that in more detail when we do our board retreat, because I'll have more information as it relates to that. But again, that's a reflection of the previous year. That is a reflection of the previous year. So of the $168,000 that I'm going to pay out tomorrow, and of the $157,000 that they're going to deposit, $80,000 will be deducted from that. So with that being said, just a recap on what he just talked about in the VMS system. I have it in a general activity for the month of March, and we actually have port outs. And we're experiencing port outs because there is a shortage. There's a shortage of available properties and landlords. However, we have received an increase in landlords participating in the program. With that being said, we are at 105. We just sent out 50 more letters, which will dwindle our waiting list to 50 people. So we have gone from 300 plus to 50 on the waiting list. And again, we are still working with the real estate community, and we are planning an event so that we can help educate realtors to educate landlords. We're modifying our contracts by adding an addendum to the contracts. The biggest thing that we've heard from landowners is the upkeep of the property, which is sometimes an issue. But we can do what's called a quarterly inspection, and if that will make our landowners feel more comfortable, we want to do that. So we could move on from that. The PIC score, which is something that we're graded on, it's a part of our corrective action plan, and HUD stated in that plan that they want us to maintain a 98 or better, and our PIC score is 99.65 for the HVC program. We also, we recently completed our CMAP. CMAP is HUD's quality control to make sure that we are administering our housing choice program according to regulations and we are complying. We actually, again, that's previous years, we filled in 2 areas, and it was 2 indicators, which was indicator 6 and 7. HUD request that we actually address that. So we submitted a corrective action plan and implemented that plan. And on today, because this is when we got the mail, we received a letter from the Department of Housing and Urban Development congratulating us on the, and their copy of it is in your packet, congratulating us on the implementation of 6 and 7. And again, that particular area is addressing the diversity as it relates to where our tenants are going, working with the real estate community and increasing in landlords. So we've not only implemented a plan, but we've demonstrated success in it. And I gave you guys a copy. I'm trying to give you documentation that you could save, and when we're not in meetings, you could digest it, so you're gonna start getting familiar with it. The Department of Housing and Urban Development send me on a monthly basis a projection of what they're gonna give us in payments. So the next document that you have is actually our Section 8 Housing Choice allocation, and it does say it's an advance. So our advance is $157,366 for the month of April. We earn money off of administrating the Section 8 program. So we earned, based on activity that the agency is engaging in, $15,000 in administrative fee. We were not allocating time. We were not allocating activity since I've been there. We've modified that process, and over the last 60 days, we're now allocating, because that's our money. And basically, if we're using that money that we earned, it's going to leave more money in our operation budget, which allows us more money to do activity and make more repairs on the properties. So we working that out. And we have our maintenance supervisor who, he's doing like 8, 9 inspections a day. So we allocating his time too. Because if we don't spend it, I don't know what happens. What happens if we don't spend it, Russell?
It just rolls over to the next year?
Is that what it does? Good. Great for us. So that's it for the Section 8 program, the Housing Choice Program. For low rent, our PIC score is 100.
I did see that one.
We are at 100. Our PIC score is 100. We have a total of 100 units that's actually leased up in the program. We have 20 units that's in a mod. We have 9 units that's vacant. Those 9 units will eventually go to mod. So even though they're vacant, we are still receiving resources for those units. We are successful in evacuating the Salmons. And I'm gonna let Charles talk about some of the activity. So the Salmon is gonna be empty. By the time we come from our retreat, we're gonna talk about a strategic plan and how we're gonna address the relocation and whether or not we want to layer different programs, because it is mandated now. I think I might have shared with 2 of you guys the email where the Department of Housing and Urban Development is expecting us to reduce public housing inventory by September of 2020.
That was said today.
Yes, they will say it today. So one of our problems when I first came in, we kind of talked about the things we wanted to do. One of our biggest issues was relocating tenants. Where would we send them? Where would we relocate them? So with that being said, we have 29 units that are vacant. We have a total population of 129 units. So of that 129, we could divide whatever we decide to do into 4 different phases. That means we will always know where our tenants will be. We will never have to displace a family. But there are other options as well. We're moving the last families. We have 2 people left. They're ready to go. We weren't ready. They're ready. We weren't ready. Talked about the PIC score. I don't want to overwhelm y'all with information, all right?
You're not.
It's good information, so let's
We talked about the, and I didn't talk about with HBC program. We talked about the bank statements opposed to the balance in the financials. I'm invoicing. I'm spending a lot of money. But the money that we spend is cost reimbursement. So if I spend $50,000 on Monday, I literally could have that back in our account by Friday. And those type of activities are actually happening. But it'll eventually reflect in the financials. It'll be easier for you guys to see it once we complete the conversion into our new system. It'll be easy for you guys to see. So what I'm doing now is literally giving you guys a copy of the invoice. And we invoiced $53,000 from our capital fund program, $53,000. And we invoiced, this was last week, we invoiced $77,000 from our operations, so it's $120,000. What I also did for your for you is we have electronic banking. I just printed today's bank statement as of today, the balance in the account, so that you would have a better idea of how our cash flow in real time is going, as close as possible to real time. the invoices the funny thing is that the invoices that we submitted last week, when HUD reviewed the invoices, they sent an email telling us that they were not going to be able to reimburse us for the invoice. So I'm panicking because I'm spending a lot of money. We have a lot of activity going on. And I'm questioning, okay, what is it that we did wrong? Well, the response was, well, we can't reimburse you for non-government money. They assumed that we had gotten a grant. And I'm like, no, that's the money y'all give us. So, we're using the money wisely. The money is growing, and the activity in the community can be physically seen as it relates to how we're spending the money. We got on the same page, we got our own money, but they thought we had gotten a grant. That's how much activity that we have going on. And we haven't gotten anything that's special. I also did a printout for you guys of REACT. We talk about REACT, we talk about ELOCs. I wanted you guys to see it. And if you look, you will see that in ELOCs, it has a balance. It has a balance of each of our federal programs. As you can see, we got another $241,000 in capital fund. We have a balance of 100 plus in 2018, and we also have 100 plus in 2017. I am not invoicing 2017 because we're using that to pay for the repairs of our sewers in Hornville. I say that gleefully because we actually, we've moved. The contract is in place. The contractor is getting a performance bond. We did request them to do a performance bond. So we're moving forward on that as well. I'm gonna do a better job of putting this information. I kind of separated it from the way I was supposed to present it. Yeah. And inside of the packet, the very last thing that's important is the reservations. We have finally finalized our retreat. The most financially feasible thing to do, based on the size of the organization, based on money, was to do cabins. So we have confirmed and we paid for 2 cabins. Men, you guys will have a cabin. The women will have a cabin. The cooking and the eating, all that happen in the men's cabin.
That means we're cooking.
And the training will happen in the ladies' cabin. So, and the more we planned, the more we worked on planning it, I started getting excited because the only time I get to see you guys is that one time out of the month. So not only do we have an opportunity to have a working and training session, we have a opportunity to have team building. I wish the staff could come, but not this time. Not yet. We have a lot of work to do. So everything is paid for. We have confirmed it. Everybody but one. I'm not sure who that one person is. I have a loaner in the office, Paula. It's starting to become an issue. It's starting to become an issue. You guys know that Webb served as the interim director for quite some time while you guys were searching. So when I first started, whenever I would need something, he would say, call Paula. He would say, call Paula. So I went to training. I went away I was gone for a second. I came back and before leaving, I'm like, can I borrow Paula? Because I needed somebody in the office, and I'm kind of like, I don't want Paula to go. So I don't know how we're gonna work with it.
Island Web.
I don't know how we're gonna work that out. We haven't much used her to the full capacity, but she has made a difference. One of the things, and we talked about this in the last meeting, is that the agency, and I say crises, we're still in crises mode. When I say crises mode, but it's because we're still solving problems, because it was so many, a plethora of problems. And we got the issues with the financial stuff. We need to make that conversion. I need that. I cannot manage the organization not knowing what's real and what's not real. That's one issue. And then I need to take some of the financial and the payable issues from Brandy. I know that I'm overwhelming her. I know I'm overwhelming you, but I appreciate that you stick to it. And because she's overwhelmed, there's a lot of mistakes that's happening. But I understand why the mistakes are happening. That's why I don't have an issue with her. I know what her capacity is. I've seen it. So if I could take that away from her, whatever way we decide to get that done, yeah, Paula does.
I need her back. I'm going on record now. I need her back.
Paula can. I have not even much touched it with her. But no, I wouldn't do that to you.
Oh my.
No, there are civil service rules. There's a process that we can't just hire.
to accept.
I gave her keys. I gave her keys. I did give her keys. But internally, we working things out. We have every bill paid this month. We have only 2 bills that says past due, but those bills are actually paid because the past due notice came after we paid them. You know, those were concerns. We working those kind of things out. The reporting, we have not asked for any extensions. Not one extension from the Department of Housing and Urban Development since we have been there. And so it's a team approach. And what I asked Charles to do, because when I first started, I'm like, you know, and I started development, I'm like, we need a maintenance team. We got to train them, we got to do something. But I asked Charles to put together a report. So if you don't mind, I would like for you to give a report on what has occurred thus far in the 8 months. How long has it been? 8?
Something like that.
8 months, okay.
Yeah.
Say my name, whatever.
Yeah, go ahead and just introduce yourself.
My name is Charles Taylor, Maintenance Supervisor for the Housing Authority of St. Charles Parish. In the 8 months since Ms. Hollis has been there, we have replaced total of 8 roofs.
Now, you've got more than, you say 8 buildings, because each
8 buildings.
building has multiple
Eight buildings. I'm
units.
sorry, it's eight buildings. All right, 8 buildings. Some building contained six units in it. Some contained 4, but the majority of them had contained 6 of them. Windows we've replaced, and God knows that's to be a lot of hits on REACT. You know, we've replaced so far 35 windows, and just this week I was speaking with a window guy, and we went out and we counted. We have a total of 176 windows that we're going to be replacing. We're just going to get some quotes for those. We have a quote. I don't want to say the quote out loud, so the competition would know, you know, the price they have to beat. But we have a quote, and we're going to be accepting more bids on that, and that would be a total of 176 plus 35. That's over 200 windows we've been replaced in the unit. So hopefully. Not hopefully, that will eliminate a lot of hits on the REACT for as block egress and stuff like that, where no one can get out the room on that. And in the 8 months that Ms. Hollis has been there, HUD allow us 30 days to get units ready. But in those 8 months she's been there, we've turned over 14 units. And like she was saying, we have just 2 people left in the disarmament.
Quality turnover.
Right, quality turnover, just not, I mean, because she made us step up her game when she got there. The very first unit we thought was done and ready, she walked in and told us, no way in the world, I'm going to give somebody this unit. So that set the standards 8 months ago, and she hasn't refused any unit we've turned over since then. You know, that made my guys, that I'm very proud of, those guys work harder than they've ever worked before. You know what I'm saying? They had it in them. They just had to be pulled out of them, and they stepped up to the plate. And we have turned over 14 quality units, as Ms. Hollis just said, that has passed her approval. Okay, and we have 2 people left in the disarmament site that will be moved on Friday. So as of Monday, in disarmament, which would be the 3rd or the 6th or something like that, we're going to shut the water off. We can contact, you know, Parish, the water department, and also Atmos to shut down the gas and water back there, so it won't be any, you know, uninvited live-ins, because there's water and gas back there. So we'll be shutting that down for as of Monday. Nobody be back there in the disarmament site. We will still maintain the site until we start doing work back there for the grass and stuff like that. That will be cut and maintained. It won't look like an abandoned site back there, but that's one of the things that's left to do.
Charles, let me ask a question real quick, and Ms. Hollis, you may know. Because we're going to have all the abandoned areas, units in disarmaments, are we going to need to have security, or how is that being handled to make sure the property? Obviously, it helps that there's no there's
Right, no, we're going to make sure, we're going to
utilities, but-
secure, you know.
We can request, I want to get a camera. I want to buy 4 more cameras, but that's something we'll talk about. I want to get 4 more cameras. The beauty of the disarmament is that it's shaped like it's like a horseshoe.
Right.
So we would have to work with a neighbor or someone, because we would need electricity, but the cameras, the cost of the camera, I mean, the cameras have been lifesavers. I'm on them all the time. We live. I'm on the cameras all the time, and if I'm seeing something, I'm calling the police, because we literally gave them access. So
Yes.
call residents. You don't have to say who you are. Just tell me the location, and I could direct them to that particular camera. But one camera can secure that whole location. Of course, we need to board everything.
Right, we will,
but
we will make
Yeah.
sure all the
And
units
we
in
will
the town
continue to
secure.
work with the sheriff department. I think Lieutenant Oop, who could not make it here today, is coming to the office on Friday. Yeah.
Okay. All right, we continue.
Well, that was, oh, and now we went back to the master key system. We just got 175 locks, rekeyed, so now when someone comes out, we don't have to lose a maintenance man to spend the whole day walking with him to let him in different units, you know what I'm saying?
Professional service.
Right, so now we have, every unit has a master key for it.
Awesome.
Saying, so that solved that problem for us. When the pest control come out or somebody come out, we don't even want walking with him because he has his own, well, we don't have his key. We give him a key. He signs the key out when he gets that finished with his duties or whatever. He brings the keys back to us.
Great.
And that's about the gist of my report, unless y'all guys have anything else.
Any questions from any of the board members? Or?
I would like to say something. We still have a problem trying to get a handle on, and that's the infestation. Oh my God, and they say snakes. On the news, they said there's going to be more snakes, but we still have an infestation issue. So we have doubled our contract with Arcan. We are now doing pest control every other week. Every other week, we're doing pest control, and we're dealing with insects, and we're dealing with rodents. And we are working with some agencies, and we are in dialogue with St. Agnes Church, who is willing to, they have a organization that's willing to come to our community center and do housekeeping training, because that's as important as the pest control situation. In addition to that, we have Catholic Charities who contact us, who wants to do money matters. I am looking for a consultant. Hopefully we can land a consultant before our board meeting. The reason I want a consultant is because there are several things that need to occur. Not that we don't individually have the capacity, but you guys have full lives and also careers that you're working, and we have a full plate. I want that consultant to help us submit 3 grants. There are 3 grants, and it doesn't come out often, but there's FSS money, there's capacity building money. We qualify for those 2 things. We do that, and I also want them to help the board with our guidance on the strategic plan. The agency has never had to do that again before, because HUD has its operation process, and that administrative plan is how we operate. That would be equivalent to a strategic plan. But based on what HUD is mandating, we're going to have to make that transition, which is easy for me because the transition was going to public housing. But we now need to make that transition to development type of entities. So I want a consultant to work with us and help us put together our strategic plan, because September of 2020 is not far away. So that's it.
Any additional board discussion or comments, or?
I do. Mr. Chair, I wasn't able to be here last meeting, but I did watch the video, and I mean, I was sitting there amazed and liking the conversation, because the conversation was more about, I would say, governance, how we as a board should get some vision on how to really just govern and direct. So I did really appreciate that and learn and got some ideas from you guys listening to that. And also, you were mentioning possibility of forming some committees to go out and kind of work on things that you suggest or the board suggests, and then come back to the board with say some solutions or ideas. So I enjoyed hearing that also. And just want to say, volunteer whatever time I have to work on a committee with yourself or the members up here to get an idea or a vision and go out there and just try to figure out how to how to make it happen. So tonight is hearing all good things. I'm thinking we're headed the right direction, and so I just wanted to offer that.
I would just like to, at this point in time, say thank you to Charles and Brandy for being here this evening, Mr. Okada, and also Ms. Hollis. We are certainly today in a much better position than we were, just a year ago, really. And even looking back further, I mean, it's amazing how far we've come.
It's a breath of fresh air.
It really, truly is. And so I just want to thank all of y'all for putting in
Absolutely.
the
Thank
effort
you.
and the work. As far as the rest of our agenda items for this evening, do we have an executive session this evening, or?
There isn't anything new. You said the executive session, we can't forget about Don Paul. He keeps me safe. He does, he keeps me safe. We have a couple of hearings and stuff, but nothing new.
All right. Did you have anything to update, or? All right. Well, do we have a, Mr. O'Connor?
Did you want to go over the low rent program financials, or
And we didn't do that. He's
did they have
correct.
any questions?
You're right. I know we've all reviewed them. Do y'all have discussion or questions?
I didn't have any, I did review them, and I didn't have any particular questions.
I did want to say, Mr. Delario, Commissioner Delario asked me every meeting to present the lease-up information comparing last year's to this year's. And for the 6 months ended March of 18, we leased up 1,571. And for the same 6 months, 2019, we leased up 1,692. So an increase of 121 vouchers. So that's important. That's awesome. And because of that, we're able to get more admin fee money to be able to run the program. And that's reflected in the financial statements.
Great. All right. Motion from the board?
One more thing I'm going to say right quick. I would hope that our general public and our officials are kind of listening and taking note and seeing where our hearts and minds are, and know that we're trying to get there. And I personally, and I think as a board, going to gently ask them to just hang in there and support us and help us get through this.
Yes.
Right. All right.
Mr. Chair, if nothing further, I make a motion that we adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn from Commissioner Woods. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That motion carries. Time is 6:48. We are adjourned.
All right, thank you, sir.